buyer, suppose I told you earlier, suppose we are exporting the t-shirt, 1 million pieces t-shirt, value is 1 million. In that case, the German buyer will open the LC and they will give the payment through bank to bank. German bank will open the LC. Our bank, suppose every bank, will receive the LC. And after receiving the LC, I am exporter. I'll go for the export of t-shirt. So LC is a payment system, and LC is the best way of doing export-import business through LC. And through LC, payment is ensured. And whatever the type, LC could be the site or LC could be the deferred. Deferred means we'll get the payment later. A site means we'll get the payment as soon as we ship out the goods. As soon as we ship out the goods. It is called site. Site means it's not like that. That day we actually we ship out the goods. It's not like that. Might be there is some international rules. It's like that. Through their banking channel, they give the payment immediately. Immediately they give the payment. It is called the site. And the deferred, there is some certain period like 30 days, like 60 days, like 90 days, like 180 days, like 360 days. As per the Bangladesh policy, financial policy, we can actually in import case we can give the payment later up to 360 days. I mean, LC could be deferred, LC could be for the 360 days. And all LCs in Bangladesh is not in Bangladesh also around the world. All the LCs are open under a rule. It is called the UCP, Uniform Custom Practice, or UCPDC, Uniform Custom Practice to Documentary Credit. And it has a latest version. Earlier it was a 600 version. Now it is 700 revision. So every bank around the world, they have to follow the UCP. They have to follow the UCP and they have to open the LC. They have to open the LC. So this is all about the LC. I told you actually through LC doing the business, international business is actually safe for both buyer and supplier. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. You have rightly described about LC. At this moment, if I can say that I receive an LC from one German or one British or one UK or US buyer, how can I check this LC is a valid LC or genuine LC? So what is the method of verifying this LC, and when and how can I encash this LC?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, it's a very important question actually. I told you LC is actually payment system, payment method. I mean, my payment is coming. Like export case, a German buyer has opened the LC, whether this LC is genuine or not, actually authenticated or not. So how could I check? If I don't have the actually much knowledge on the LC, so we cannot check. What we can do, actually, you know, the LC is a payment system. LC is transmitted through a network. It is called SWIFT, SWIFT. S for society, S for society, W for worldwide, I for society for worldwide, S for society, W for worldwide, I for international, F for financial, T for telecommunication. This is SWIFT network. It is based in Brussels, actually. Around 180 countries are linked with this network. It is so authenticated, you know, once any LC from German bank transmit the LC to any Bangladesh bank, suppose Dutch Bangla Bank, AB Bank, or Islamic Bank, in any branch, they just transmit. It is a sure shot. It is a sure shot. Once LC is transmitted through any bank to any bank, it means is a sure shot, is authenticated. And your bank your bank is the right person who can authenticate it, this LC is authenticated or not. You understand? Thank you.
Thank you very much. That means my bank can guarantee me, yes, this is authenticated LC. So don't worry, you will get the payment. So it is the right or the safest way of making payment for international transaction. So in this connection, now, if as a trainer, as a coach, as a consultant, I would like to ask you that what are the challenges of import and export Bangladeshi entrepreneurs are facing? Could you please?
Actually, what are the challenges? Actually, I told you the international business is not for Bangladesh or not for only Bangladesh. The challenges around the world. I would say it's not for only Bangladesh. For every country in international business, there are some challenges and some risks in doing the export-import business. So every entrepreneur, every organization should be careful about the export-import business. I would say, what are the challenges in export-import business? I would say they have to have the right planning. They have to analyze the risks very carefully, whatever the internal risks, whatever the external risks, whatever the environmental risks, whatever the, natural risks, natural calamities. And they have to know the HS code very carefully. HS code, harmonized system code. They have to know the Incoterms very carefully. Right implications, they have to use the Incoterms. I mean, FOB, CFR, CPT. They have to use these Incoterms very carefully. And I told you the through the LC business is very safe. Without LC, actually internationally business is going on, but through the LC is actually very safe for especially for the new entrepreneur. The small entrepreneur or medium-sized entrepreneur, I would always suggest, please do the business through the LC. And in that case, they have to understand which are the LC clauses. What are the LC clauses? In import case, they have to insert the LC clauses very carefully. They have to insert the LC clauses very carefully, how their import can be. That their import can be safe, because once importer put the clauses in the LC, so supplier cannot avoid. They have to follow, otherwise they will not get the payment. LC clauses. And export cases, so suppose someone is buying from Germany to from Bangladesh. In that case, I have to know, I have to follow the LC clauses, and I have to follow every semicolon, every full stop, and every alphabet I have to follow. Otherwise, we'll not get the export payment. So we have to, there are some problems in the port handling charges, the port handling, how to handle the port, because your goods are coming through the ports. It could be the land port, it could be the seaport, it could be the airport, and it could be the railway station also. They have a port also. Understand? So in that case, you have to handle very carefully in the ports, and port has some charges, and there is some possibility of the damages of your product in the port area. And during loading and unloading of the goods, suppose your goods are coming from Germany, your goods are going from Bangladesh to Germany, is a long way. 30 days will take to go and to come from Germany to Bangladesh. In that case, so there are a lot of times you have to load and unload the goods. Understand? So there is some risks and challenges. Your goods, I mean your items, can be destroyed. Understand? Once it is damaged, so your money is damaged. And possible disputes with the customs. This is also very challenges in Bangladesh. Also around the world. Research says Around 30% problem. 30% problem is happening with the customs around the world for different issues like HS code misdeclaration, wrongly declared, wrongly quoted Incoterms, duty overloaded by the customs, discrepancy in the shipping documents. I told you shipping documents like commercial invoice, packing list, certificate of origin, bill of lading, ERA bill, truck challan or railway receipt, or bill of exchange. And also for the packaging. Packaging also is a very important thing. Packaging basically is the exporter responsibility, but you can plan rightly. If you give the plan to the exporter, in that case, your product will come safely. So I think if an entrepreneur, whatever in the medium scale or small scale or big scale, every entrepreneur, they are facing this sort of challenges, and if they address this sort of challenges, I think their export-import business will be beautiful. They can import the product rightly, and they can export the product right. They can export the product rightly. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You have enlightened us on export, import, LC, and all these challenges and opportunities of international trade. My last question for today's interview is, you have mentioned pre-shipment inspection, PSI. So is it necessary to do PSI before export or import any products? How you will evaluate its necessity and its importance?
Actually, I told you earlier, the business is once you have a business of $5,000 US and you have a business of $1 million business. So thing is that once is a high value item, I would say everyone for import case, you do the PSI. PSI basically actually is a requirement for the importer. The PSI means pre-shipment inspection. Suppose we are importing the textile machine from the Germany. In that case, before the shipment, pre-shipment inspection. Before the shipment from the German seaport. Suppose our plan is the machine is coming through sea. So before entering to the ship, so in that case, we'll appoint a pre-shipment inspection company. There are a lot of pre-shipment inspection company, but I would suggest you do the business with the reputed company like SGS. SGS is a world famous. SGS is a Swiss company, Switzerland company. BB, Bureau Veritas is it is based in Paris. I mean, it is from the France. They have the offices around the world. I mean, they have the offices around 180 countries. And ITS from the UK, they have the offices like that around 180 countries, more than 180 countries. You can go with these companies. And suppose you are importing, your requirement is PSI. You have done the PSI very carefully, but it will take 30 days to enter your goods in Chittagong Seaport. During this journey, there is a lot of risks, like there might be some hurricane, there might be some flood, tsunami, a lot of things can happen during the journey, even loading, unloading, So in that case, what will happen? If you do the PSI, it is also PSI, but it is called the post-shipment inspection. If you do the same by agent, third party, so you want to see whether your goods was okay in the German port, but after coming in Bangladesh, you want to see how is the good, how is my goods position. So if you want to see that, so you have to go for the PSI, I mean post-shipment inspection. In that case, you have to pay something. Suppose you are actually importing the $1 million amount of textile machine. It means 10 core BDT. So in that case, I think you will certainly pay $100, $400 to $500. I mean, 50,000 BDT to a pre-shipment inspection company. You should do that, and you should pay that. So I would always suggest once it is a high value, you do the PSA. But once it is $5,000, you don't go for the PSA. Okay, thank you very much.
Sir, actually, during last 1 hour, half an hour, I mean, 1 hour plus time, we listened to you on import, export, on international business, process of import, export, preparations has to be taken before import, export business, and licenses requirement. We listen on LC, opening LC procedures, all these types of LC, about PSI, about all other preparations for how a person can be an entrepreneur by starting his export-import business. So thank you very much for your kind